Well, joining us now, and for the duration of this final hour, is the former Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams. We're really delighted to see you. You succeeded Justin Welby. You preceded Justin Welby, forgive me. How do you prepare? How does one prepare for an event like Monday, where you will be conducting parts of that huge state funeral?
Just for the record, I shan't actually be conducting any part of the service as a retired Archbishop. I don't have a role.
No, sorry, I was asking for your insight as you preceded Justin Welby. You will know Justin Welby. How might he be preparing for an event of that magnitude?
It's important, I think, on occasions like this, for there to be a real looking forward as well as a looking backward. And I can remember discussions we had around the ceremonies for the Jubilee back in 2012, and the Queen making it very clear at that point. I remember her saying, I don't want an obituary. She didn't want something that simply chronicled her achievements and looked back. She wanted this to be an event in which people would renew a kind of commitment towards the future, would renew their vision, if you like. And I suspect that will be very much in Archbishop Justin's mind as he prepares for Monday, how to make this an occasion which will give a nurturing, a comforting, but also a challenging and positive sense of what sort of country we are and what sort of country we want to be.
And bearing those thoughts, Justin Welby met a lot of the people queuing along the embankment and near Lambeth Bridge earlier, and reflecting on how important that this is a shared spiritual event as well.
Mm. One of the things that the office of the monarchy does, I think, is to connect people, or, well, perhaps to remind people that they're connected in ways they don't always become conscious of. They're connected as members of a community whose unity is symbolized by the monarchy. And that's a sort of spiritual level of connection in some ways. It's not just about a political fact around the monarchy, it's about the kind of society we are. And people discover this, they tune into this at moments such as this, I think, and that is what makes it a special and a spiritual event for so many.
Just talking about the Queen's faith, in one of her Christmas messages, she cited her personal accountability before God. Just tell us about the nature of her religious faith. It was strong and she was devoted to it.
It was very strong indeed. And I talked on one or two occasions about the importance for her of the support of the then Archbishop when she was preparing for her coronation. Archbishop Fisher prepared for her a little book of daily readings and meditations for her to use every day in the weeks leading up to the coronation. And she always kept that book. She showed it to some visitors, I know, and it was quite clear that process, almost like a spiritual retreat, had shaped not only the way she approached the ceremony of the coronation, but the way she approached the whole of her work as Queen. So her faith was an extremely important thing to her. She became more and more explicit about it in her Christmas messages, as you've noted. And I think that's important. As society at large became, if you like, further away from organized religion, as it drifted away from faith, she seemed to think part of her responsibility was simply to remind everybody that she was still there, that the faith which animated her was still there, and that it was still worth thinking about and thinking with.
Now, a difficult question for you. How should we feel on Monday? Because clearly this is an act of mourning, and we have a state funeral, and we say goodbye to the monarch. But clearly these events can be quite uplifting as well, when we have the choral music, we have hymns, we have the words of the Common Book of Prayer, and all those things that help to actually alleviate the pain.
Mm. Impossible to tell people how they should be feeling, of course, but I think you put your finger on it. This will be a moment of complicated emotion. There'll be a very widespread sense of loss. And I think even those people who are a bit a bit sniffy about the monarchy will feel unexpected pangs of loss and regret and surprising emotion. I've noted that in people I know. But at the same time, it is a celebration of sorts. It's not just a matter of regret, mourning. And as I said about the Jubilee service, I don't think Her Majesty would have wanted this to be a backward-looking event. She would say, well, if you're giving thanks for the stability that the monarchy's represented, how do you keep that stability going in the generation ahead? What kind of commitment do you have to making this a working society, a working and a harmonious society? What are you going to do to make sure that the sense of belonging that comes into focus at times like this, that really endures and works? And I hope that'll be somewhere in the mix too on Monday.